قیام مردم ایران، فراخوان بین المللی برای آزادی زندانیان قیام. کنفرانس با حضور مریم رجوی، شخصیتهای سیاسی و قانونگذاران از 9 کشور اروپایی.
Madam Rajvi, distinguished members of the parliaments, European parliaments, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for the invitation. Coming from Poland, a country that experienced 50 years of firstly totalitarian, then authoritarian regimes, I want to share with you how deeply I've been moved by the scenes we've seen of mass protests that have happened in Iran just recently. They reminded me the 80s of the last century in Poland. I was a member of that massive movement in Poland at that time, and still remember how extremely important for us was that free world was calling for releasing those who were detained or arrested. That is why this conference is of such importance, and our message must be strong and clear. No political prisoners in Iran. All across Europe should voice up release of detainees in Iran. As we are here, both those pictures and the movie illustrate how the atmosphere in your country is tense, I would say. And also, we could see how people in Iran are disappointed with a theocratic regime. The protests, as we learned, began with spontaneous protests, mainly against high prices, corruption, and other social problems in one of Iranian regions, but very soon, very fast, developed into large-scale uprising with a demand for fundamental changes, including freedom of speech, freedom of choice, and the end of the religious regime. Repressions that have happened during the protests and afterwards may delay the success of this uprising, but cannot stop the new wave of popular protests, which may be even bigger. Why? Because people of Iran, and particularly women, that was mentioned by a colleague of mine from Poland, Madam Mucha, women and young people dare to demand basic rights they were deprived of for many years. The protesters equally rejected religious supreme leader Khamenei and the president Hassan Rouhani. It clearly demonstrates their lack of belief either of the regime's faction may fulfill their hopes. That should be seriously taken into consideration by the European Union, USA, and other United Nations powers. Khamenei, Rouhani, and other government officials have declared that Mujahideen al-Khalq stands behind these protests. That only confirms that how important role the opposition plays in Iran. It should be then recognized as credible partner for all who want to change tough conditions Iranian people live in. I believe the Iranian opposition, and particularly your council, if supported by the democratic community of Europe, may achieve concrete and far-reaching goals. One day, let's hope, sooner than later, democratic and secular Iran. This is my wish to you. Thank you very much.
Please take the floor.
Thank you very much, and I'm delighted again to be here, as I was last June in Paris and indeed in December, to show my support for you, Madame Rajvi, and your organisation. It's a great honour to be here today at this conference. But in recent months, the world has seen people across Iran protesting against the regime and its destructive policies, not only in Iran, but across the Middle East. Despite the regime's heavy-handed crackdown and mass arrests, The protests are continuing and spreading to further cities. This signals a determination of the people to bring about the necessary changes required in Iran. Since the so-called moderate president Hassan Rouhani took office, there are no signs that he is willing or capable to make good of the promises he made to the Iranian people during the sham presidential elections, demonstrating that both factions of the regime, the so-called reformers and indeed the hardliners, are united in the repression and guaranteeing, for the moment, the theocracy's survival. But even worse, the regime has tried to rob the Iranian people of their hope and belief in a better future. But you and your movement, Madame Rejvi, have kept their hopes alive. Through your persistence and belief in the democratic values and principles, you have acted as a beacon of hope for the millions of Iranians who are on the streets today demanding a better future, and for those who are in prisons. You, Madame Rejvi, have shown the repressed people of Iran that they can challenge the theocracy if they stand united and make the principled sacrifices that are required by every nation to secure its freedom and democracy. It's the kind of we have a centenary, we have a decade of centenaries in Ireland, culminating in 1922 at our ultimate freedom as a republic ourselves, and many countries across Europe and across the world have gained their freedom, and I'm sure very soon Iran will be free of the regime that's there now. You, Madame Rejvi, have shown the oppressed people of Iran they can challenge the theocracy if they stand united and make the principled sacrifices that are required by every nation to secure its freedom and democracy. It is clear the Iranian regime cannot turn the clock to the past, and it is evident that the regime is incapable of addressing the systematic corruption and embezzlement that have crippled Iran's economy. Your movement, the PMOI and NCRI, are helping people of Iran organise their protests against the theocracy, which even the regime is now acknowledging, as has been referred to by public statements from IRGC commanders and even the Supreme Leader. The international community, particularly the EU, must take note of this and reverse their appeasement policy towards the current regime in Iran. The EU and its member states must demand the release of all protesters arrested since the beginning of the uprising in December of last year. Furthermore, the EU and its member states should support the democratic aspirations of your people by making any trade relations and business deals contingent upon immediate halt to the vicious crackdown on peaceful protest of the peaceful protesters and an end to torture and executions. Finally, I believe that the EU and the UN must act to end the culture of impunity in Iran, which they can do by identifying the perpetrators and naming and shaming them by imposing punitive measures, and demand they face justice in an internationally recognised, accountable process. I support you and your endeavours to bring democracy and freedom to Iran, and I hope that we will soon be joined by European governments, because a free and democratic Iran not just benefits Iran, but also benefits our future interests and peace in the world. Thank you very much.
Madam Rafsanjani, it's very good to be here again, to have fought for 39 years to give the people of Iran the justice and the voice that they deserve. But when you look at those people there, every one of those hundreds of thousands of people who were on the streets in various places in Iran, any one of them was putting their life on the line at any moment. And that's a real story to behold, that many people were prepared to risk their liberty, their health and well-being, their families' well-being as well, because they felt so desperately frustrated that they live in a country where the things that we take for granted, freedom, the rule of law, and democracy, is not available to them. Many of our colleagues who've spoken today come from countries where the time had run out for their regimes that had suppressed them. I was in Romania in '89 when the revolution was going on, over the Christmas and New Year of '89. I saw firsthand the struggle of the people of Romania and the fact that they were able to overcome that regime. We have to make sure that politicians cannot use ignorance as an excuse or this old thing about we're very sympathetic, but unfortunately we've got other interests which are far more important than the rights of the people of Iran. So let them go on being suppressed, let them go on being tortured and killed, but we've got other issues, and sorry, we haven't got time for this one. It's our job to make sure that our governments, our politicians, find time. Thank you very much.
Presidente, Madame Rajvi, onorevoli colleghi, grazie per avermi invitato a questa conferenza sull'Iran. Sono onorato di unirmi ai miei colleghi italiani e degli altri paesi europei e non solo, alla resistenza iraniana per essere a fianco del coraggiosissimo popolo dell'Iran. Le immagini che abbiamo visto ci testimoniano quanto stia crescendo il coraggio e la consapevolezza di poter abbattere il regime. Signora Presidente, la conferenza di oggi dimostra l'impegno del suo movimento nei confronti della democrazia. Presenta una miniatura di cosa ci aspetterà in un futuro Iran libero e democratico. Oggi ho avuto il privilegio di ascoltare parole bellissime e forti da tutti i colleghi provenienti dall'Europa e non solo, e vorrei fare eco a questa espressione di sostegno per il popolo iraniano. Madame Rajvi, il suo movimento dimostra oggi di avere la capacità di riunire parlamentari e politici di differenti collocazioni politiche con opinioni a volte anche molto distanti su altri temi, attorno a principi fondamentali e comuni, come la libertà e la democrazia. Noi che partecipiamo a questa conferenza oggi possiamo rappresentare diverse opinioni politiche, ma oserei dire, parlando a nome di tutti, credo, che i valori e che i principi che il suo popolo vogliono affermare sono i valori e i principi che alimentano le democrazie dei nostri popoli. Nelle ultime settimane milioni di iraniani sono scesi in strada per chiedere ciò che in molti in Occidente danno per scontato: libertà, democrazia, dignità e diritti umani fondamentali. Dall'altra parte, invece, c'è una dittatura che vuole intervenire su ogni aspetto della vita delle persone. Lei, Presidente, poc'anzi ci ha parlato di 8.000 manifestanti arrestati in Iran durante le recenti proteste antiregime. L'Unione Europea deve utilizzare la sua forte voce internazionale per chiedere immediatamente il rilascio e senza condizioni di tutti i prigionieri politici in Iran, in particolare di tutti coloro che sono stati arrestati durante le manifestazioni. Io, senza dubbio e con tutte le mie energie, vi sosterrò fino al giorno in cui ci sarà un Iran libero e democratico. Grazie.
Dear Mrs. President, honorable members of Parliament and Senate in the different European parliaments, I think our first words have to be of many congratulations to the Iranian people for the magnificent show of determination, of courage, of standing for the values of freedom, democracy and human rights that they have given to the whole world in face of the most extreme repression of continuous pseudo-suicides of those who have been arrested. Thousands of people arrested, but still the Iranian people is there, is showing a light to the whole world in a situation where a lot of people have been becoming skeptical on the values that have been ruling our civilization. And we owe you all so much. You, Madam President, that have been clearly leading this movement, that have indicated the way. The slogans do not come by chance. They show who is leading. They show that the Iranian people was able, from every corner of the country, regardless of the ethnicity, regardless of the region, every Iranian raised. And this was a magnificent show to us all. And what I would like to say, as a former parliamentarian, but now engaged in a humanitarian organization, is that I think we have a lot to do in Europe. And I think that the way to proceed is for us, everyone, you in your parliaments, to ask responsibilities from the European leaders. What are they doing? Why are not they following what is inscribed in the European Union treaties, the human rights mandates? They are there. They are forced to follow them. Why are not they following them? What is their explanation? We have to do our utmost to stop this situation and to show what I think is the genuine feeling of the European people of solidarity for the brave Iranian people, and most in particular for the brave Iranian women that we admire so much. Thank you so, Mrs. President.
I want to thank you very much, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, for inviting me to attend this meeting that you have decided to organize in such a crucial moment. I am very impressed by the image we have seen, but also by the fact that demonstrations continue in Iran despite 8,000 people arrested. I would like to remember that 29 of them are women who refused to dress the veil, and despite 50 people killed on the streets, and despite 12 people have been tortured to death in prisons. If this happened in Iran, it is also because those who are responsible of the massacre in 1988 of 30,000 political prisoners are still in the government with very important political positions. I would like to say that the nature of the regime is still the same. We should be aware of this, and we should try to explain our public opinion this very clear truth. You said in your intervention that Rouhani, who previously considered the PMO as an irrelevant organization, now is saying that you are responsible of the demonstrations in Iran. And you said that he asked also Macron to take action against you. And I think that this is because this regime cannot recognize, cannot share any democratic principle, any democratic value. And this is the reason why we have to support you now stronger than before, and to call the international community and Europe for taking action for the release of the people who have been arrested during the demonstration. And also, I think we have to continue to call for an international inquiry on the massacre of 1988, because there is a bloody link between what is happening now and what happened in the past. I would like to conclude, and I would like to thank you again, also because you are an hope not only for the people of Iran, for the citizens of Iran, which means to be an hope for the Middle East, but you are really an hope and an example for all of us who continue to fight for defending the rule of law in our countries and for trying to improve the democracy that also in our countries in that moment it's at risk. So thank you very much.
Your Excellency, Madam Rajvi, kindly allow me to introduce myself. First of all, I have to say that I'm speaking on behalf of Hermes Gavone, Dr. Hermes Gavone, who is a newly elected MP in Malta. I am Mario Gallia, Member of Parliament from Malta. My area of expertise is election observation and have monitored and led various election observation missions in emergency democracies across the world on behalf of the European Union, Commonwealth, United Nations, and other international organizations. I would like to thank our hosts, the National Resistance Movement of Iran, led by a very able woman, Your Excellency, Madam Rajvi. I thank you for your relentless work. Martin Luther King wisely said, and I quote, "The ultimate tragedy is not oppression and cruelty by the bad people, but the silence over that by the good people," end of quote. And this is so true. There is still a deafening silence regarding the desperate situation in Iran, where thousands of people are being arrested, tortured, executed, and their only crime is for taking it to the streets, protesting for good governance, rule of law, democracy, and human rights. As a very renowned writer rightly pointed out some days ago, and I quote, "When people protest against mass unemployment, corruption, and blatant abuse of human rights in Iran, and the protesters are being met with bullets, the world is expected to do more than just monitoring the situation," end of quote. All of us here came to Paris today because we are truly worried about the unfolding situation here in Iran. We are here because we do not want to be accomplice of the brutal regime of Iran. We are here to send a strong message of solidarity to the brave people of Iran. We are here to send a bold message of condemnation and denouncement to the corrupt, barbarous, brutal regime of Iran. We are here to make a loud statement because we know that silence means consent. Our message to this regime is stop imprisoning, torturing, and killing innocent people. Immediately release unconditionally all political prisoners. Our message to the regime is also very clear. The world is watching you. And what you are doing are crimes against humanity, which are sanctioned under international law. One day, and I hope this will be very soon, justice will prevail and you will be held accountable for your criminal actions. As other colleagues have said, the regime of Iran is not only a serious threat to the people of Iran, but also a serious threat to the entire world, because we know that the Iranian regime is an active state sponsor of terrorism. So our world will not be safe as long as this regime prevails. There is no democracy without human rights, and there are no human rights without democracy. Democracy is not a privilege extended to the people from those who oppress them, but a basic human right. In fact, the right of every citizen to vote through secret ballot and to be elected at periodic, genuine democratic elections are internationally recognized human rights. Freedom of expression, freedom of affiliation and association, freedom of movement, freedom of assembly, freedom of press, and the right to protest are all basic human rights, which as we speak, the people of Iran are being unjustly denied of. On behalf of the Nationalist Party of Malta, and on behalf of the leader of the opposition in Malta, Dr. Adrian Dali, I salute the people of Iran who have the courage to take it to the street to protest against the regime. The brutal methods deployed by the Iranian regime against these peaceful protesters are horrific. But my humble message to the people of Iran is that they are executing you, torturing you, imprisoning you, shoot at you, not because they are courageous and mightier than you, but because they are terrified of you. They know that this is the beginning of their end. As former British Prime Minister Sir Winston Churchill rightly pointed out, and I quote, "You see dictators on their pedestals, surrounded by the bayonets of their soldiers and the truncheons and guns of their police. Yet in their hearts there is unspoken fear. They are afraid of free words and thoughts, steering at home and abroad. And because these thoughts and words are forbidden by the tyrants, they are even more powerful, and this terrifies the tyrant. Even a little mouse of a free thought will drive the tyrant into panic," end of quote. Yes, you can repress the people for some time, but not for all of the time. To the national resistance movement of Iran and to the people of Iran protesting in the streets and in the universities of Iran, I say you are true heroes. Your fight for democracy, human rights, and rule of law in Iran is indeed commendable. As the great Nelson Mandela once said, and I quote, "I learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over fear. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear," end of quote. And this is precisely what the Iranians protesting in Iran are doing. They are conquering their fear. My message, and I'm sure that you gathered here share with me to the people of Iran, is that we are with you. You are not alone, and we will never leave you alone. Your fight is our fight. We will not rest, and we shall continue to be with you through thick and thin until you win. And it is not a matter of if you win, but when you will win. I feel confident that you will win and legitimately get your country back from the hands of this evil regime, and finally have the government of your choice through a genuine democratic election. Then, and only then, we will rest our case. Thank you very much.
Signora Presidente, colleghi e amici della resistenza iraniana, sono ormai oltre 15 anni che ci conosciamo, ci frequentiamo, quindi posso dire che non mi considero un invitato a queste vostre riunioni, nostre riunioni, e mi sento parte invece di una famiglia. Per me voi siete fratelli e sorelle, come lo si è quando si è parte della stessa famiglia. Perché c'è un legame strettissimo tra quello che noi militanti di giustizia, di libertà nei nostri paesi facciamo in Europa e quello che in Iran fanno i resistenti e i militanti di giustizia e libertà. Io sono convintissimo che c'è questo stretto legame tra quello che noi siamo e che noi facciamo e abbiamo fatto in questi decenni e quello che sta accadendo in Iran. Io voglio essere molto chiaro su questo. È facile dire io sto dalla parte del popolo iraniano. Spesso accade. Chi non osa dichiararsi contro la Repubblica Islamica, contro il regime dei mullah, un po' si mette la coscienza a posto, dice io sto dalla parte del popolo iraniano. No, bisogna dire io sto dalla parte della resistenza iraniana, io sto dalla parte del Consiglio nazionale della resistenza iraniana. Noi siamo dalla parte, potrei dire ancora di più, siamo parte della resistenza iraniana. Lei ha un compito, signora Rejouy, straordinario, che speriamo di alleviare questo peso della sua responsabilità con il nostro aiuto ed essendo anche noi parte della resistenza iraniana. I suoi 10 punti, il suo programma in 10 punti sono una visione del nuovo Iran che noi tutti desideriamo, che noi tutti vogliamo. E perciò stesso, avendo questa visione, nella coerenza tra pensarla, sentirla e di conseguenza agire in coerenza con quella visione, creano la realtà. I veri realisti, gli autentici realisti sono i visionari. Lei lo è e lo è in maniera coerente tra modo di pensare, modo di sentire e modo di agire. Questa è la sua forza, ma è la forza di tutti coloro i quali l'unico modo per essere dalla parte del popolo iraniano è essere parte della resistenza iraniana.
Thank you so much, Madam President, dear friends. In the many years that I've been closer to the Iranian resistance, I had many privileges. One of the main privileges was to be in Ashraf. And it was extremely impressive for me to be among the brothers and sisters of the Iranian resistance there. Then, several years later, I had another privilege, to meet most of the same people from Ashraf in Albania. And I'm pretty sure that they will see our conference of today, our meeting. And so I want to say thank you to all of them for all that they did and they continue to do. They set up a great example of resistance in spite of every difficulty, with bravery, and we all should be proud of being friends of them. So I agree with my friend Sergio on the fact that we will definitely continue to be a part of the resistance, not only to be on the same side, but to be something more. To be the voice of the Iranian people that are struggling with all the possible bravery for freedom and for the life and the future of Iran. Thank you so much.